I have a feeling like the exhaust is going to get very, very hot. I have a feeling like the exhaust is going to get very, very hot. Having some issues with my diesel heater. Just wondering if the exhaust is supposed to be glowing red like that. Oh, that's flames. I'm glad it was out here when that happened, because that could have been very bad. Wonderful. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. Before we get into this video, I want to apologize for the quality and somewhat questionable content of this video. I had some memory card issues. They filled up strangely, and so I did some filming with my iPhone. Also, I had a buddy over and we were messing about while I was doing some tests on the heater, and I failed to record any of that. You guys will see the outcome of those experiments, but not the experiments themselves. In the next video in this series, I will be testing a catalytic converter off of a weed trimmer. Thanks to Dustin for hooking me up with that. It should be a very interesting test, and I promise I will document it better than I did this one. In the last full-length video in this series, we tested burning methanol, and there were a lot of interesting comments on that video, as you guys really seemed to enjoy it, so I might be doing some more tests along that line in the future. I had one really cool suggestion in that video that I am absolutely testing. I don't know why I didn't think of it until this point. I'm not going to tell you guys what that is now, but perhaps keep your eye out for a YouTube short on that one. It is going to be very interesting even if it doesn't work. Before we get into this video, I need to give a safety warning. I'm going to be doing some silly things. Don't do what I do. You could get hurt, killed, damage your property, or have a complete loss of property. So just use the heater that it was in the way that it was intended to be used, and let me do all the silly stuff. Let's pick up where we left off. I ended up digging around through a bunch of junk that I have, and I found a lawnmower blade bolt washer. So this is a washer that goes on a bolt that holds a blade on a lawnmower. I don't know what it's made out of. It seems to be possibly sintered metal. It was very hard. I tried to drill it with a drill bit and I could not do it, so I had to put it in my mill and use a tungsten carbide end mill. So I've got holes cut in it like that. This is about the same size, a little bit smaller than this, and it has some holes in it. I'm going to run it fairly close to the chamber and hope that it works. You know the drill. 25, 22. Let's see what happens. I don't like how that suddenly jumps up when the fan slows down. That means that the air rushing through is having a significant cooling effect on it, which makes sense, but it also means that our modification probably isn't working. Oh, I like that. 225. All right, I've decided to start switching over to waste oil and see what happens. Well, that is quite unfortunate. As you guys can see, as soon as I switched over from the diesel to the waste motor oil and tried to increase the heat setting, the temperature plummeted all the way from 232 Celsius to 185. We've got problems. It is the following day. I have removed the burn chamber. I am now taking the modified piece out of it. Unsurprisingly, it didn't melt because it is some sort of steel or some sort of sintered metal material. It appears to have oxidized a little bit on the back side here. This is blocking up too much air, so I think what I might do is actually use the end mill and cut grooves. I have a feeling that this is not going to be enough, but I can't put the material back, so I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to test it like this. Great news from VEVOR. Although they won't be sending me a heater because the winter season is coming to an end, they will be sending me an ultrasonic cleaner, which I can use year-round. I expect that I will be cleaning some heater parts as well as some jet ski bits and possibly even some automotive stuff. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it and keep an eye out. If you guys are interested in picking up a heater that is similar to the one that I'm using in this video, I purchased that from VEVOR and we have an affiliate link. If you guys use that link, I get a small kickback. It helps me out, and there is a discount code VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. Information in the description below. Back at it, ready to do another test. I've got it primed. I'm going to turn it on. We are at 18 Celsius and 18 Celsius. So if this doesn't heat up fairly quickly, if I'm not able to get it over 200 on the body and a reasonable temperature here, then I'm just going to abort testing and either try something else or remove more material from the current setup. The way the wind is blowing today, I'm having air come back in my ventilation system. Not ideal. I waited 5 minutes and we are up to 233 here, so I'm just going to speed it up and see what happens. We're up to 192 here, so that's reasonable. Alright, I'm going to leave it at this setting now. It looks like the temperature is already dropping here, but I'm going to set another 5-minute timer and see. We are at 232, 192. I just started switching it over to waste oil because, well, because I wanted to. All right, we're dropping, folks. It's not looking good. I am losing hope in this burn chamber. I shouldn't have removed the vanes from the back side of it. Just so that we're clear, when I say vanes, I'm talking about the pieces that hold the baffle on. It seems as though ever since I removed those, it hasn't been working terribly well. It did work good that one time, but I think that was a bit of a freak thing. So I'm going to continue modifying this one to try to get it to work. What I've done this time, of course, I can't just do one experiment. I've got a spring coiled up in there. And I'm also putting this into the chamber. This is a stainless steel ring. I've got the little piece in there and I'm going to push it all the way down to the end as far as I can. And then I'm going to put it together. I'm going to keep this bolt on here. And I'm going to keep the spring inside of the main burn area. I have been conducting a bunch of tests off camera. I'm not sure why I did that, but here's some 14 gauge copper wire that I had wrapped around the bolt. I also have some chunks of melted brass from another failed experiment. I think I showed you guys this last, and we also melted this chunk of aluminum and this here, and we've had this in there. You guys didn't see this. Anyway, I'm currently running another test, and although it seems like it will continue running, I've burnt more than this much. I burnt some out of it and then I refilled it, ran it for about 8 hours and burnt that much. It's running what seems to be fine, but the temperature is not great and it's fluctuating. So I'm actually going to pull it apart now. I'm going to switch it over to the diesel. So shut off the oil, turn on the diesel. I'm going to let it run for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm still very convinced that what we need to do is get the burn chamber temperature up where the oil is entering, but I'm not sure how to do that. I have some ideas about modifying it so that it actually has 2 fuel lines and 2 fuel pumps. The one fuel line delivering pure diesel, and then downstream of that, where it's really hot, a second fuel line delivering the waste oil, just pure waste oil. But that's not something that everybody can do. I've removed the burn chamber and this is what it looks like inside. It looks like some of that stainless steel might not have fared too well, but we'll have to pull it apart to see. You can see a bunch of the stuff flaking off from the inside there. Looks pretty interesting. I had this bolt with the washer at the end of the chamber. At the end of this thing, we'll pull that out. It looks like it has deteriorated. It is a good quality stainless steel, so yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to think of that. But as you can see, this is after 8 hours of use. It had started to build up a significant amount of stuff around here. I'm pretty certain it would not completely go away even if we got the burn chamber temperature way up. It actually doesn't look too bad for how much oil it's burnt. This is what the exhaust port looks like, so it's gummed up a bit. And there is some loose carbon inside of the heat exchanger itself. Oh yes, I forgot to mention as well. I forgot to mention it because I forgot that I had done it. There's a piece of a hose clamp in here. This is the piece of hose clamp that I had jammed down inside of there. And based on the color of it, it never got very hot. So it was not doing what I intended it to do. I might try putting something else in there, or I might try modifying this and putting it back in, but this alone did not cause the fuel to vaporize inside of that area. So yeah, this is the piece that I made for going inside the burn chamber. It was sitting down inside of there. And this is the area that was sitting like this. The outside area here that was sitting against the stainless steel washer used to look like this, but it, yeah, it looks like it didn't fare very well against the heat. So I'm not sure that anything would. I've decided I'm going to use the baffle again, but because I've removed the fins from here, I have to do it in a little different way. So I've got a bolt attached. The bolt head would hit the fan if I didn't cut it off. So I cut it off, and then I realized that I was going to have to dimple it anyway. So I put it in my press and pressed the center of it into a socket. So I pushed down on it here and basically countersunk it. So now it sits in like that. I'm going to have to check this a few times to make sure I have the right clearances, but I'm trying to do this with one hand because I'm filming with the other. That sits in there like that. And then I will put a nut on this side and it will hold it in place. The piece that I showed you guys earlier, I'm actually going to shove inside of the main burn area. So I've got the baffle put back on, and because I can't just do one thing and leave well enough alone, I'm actually going to put this in here. The idea is, hopefully, the burn will heat up these fingers and then send that heat back into the area where the fuel comes in. I've removed the little section from around where the flame initiation starts, and the camera can't really see it, but I'm going to put that gap right there so that the fuel can come in nice and easy and the flame can initiate easily, and then hopefully keep some heat inside of here. It is still going through the startup procedure, and we are already up to 193. I don't want to get excited about this, but that is a very promising number. And this one is reasonable as well, 150. I'll let it settle down and see what the temperatures will settle at, and then we'll start raising the setting up to setting 6 and see what happens. Looks like it's starting to taper off now. We'll see what this temperature does as it tapers off. It looks like it is going to shoot up. All right, I will come back. I'm currently shooting on my phone because both of my memory cards are full, and it's going to take 3 hours to upload all the footage to my computer. I'm going to do something that I maybe shouldn't do at this point, but I want to give it a try because of the burn chamber temperature. I've switched it over to the waste oil, turned off the diesel. You can see the burn chamber temperature is actually 237 on the outside, a reasonable temperature on the housing. So I'm going to switch it over and see what happens. I'll let you guys know when the oil actually makes its way all the way through. You can see it's still fairly clear on the line, so we'll come back in about 5 minutes. 239, 240, wow. The temperature dropped all the way down to about 220 when the oil first started going in, but then it recovered pretty quickly and started shooting up. So the oil is actually making more heat than the diesel was, which is the way that it should work if it's actually burning. But before, it wasn't burning, it was just cooling off the chamber. I don't know how much filming I actually did of the current experiment that I'm working on. Both of my memory cards are full, and so I did some filming on my phone, which also filled up. Oh. Okay, well, I think I may have found out why this test started to fail partway through. The burn chamber fell apart. Well, that is interesting, confusing, and annoying. I'm doing the exact same test that I was doing last time in the exact same way, but the last time the temperature on the outside of the burn chamber was 194 and the outside of the heat exchanger was 150. What's up? I've got the heater shut down, and once again it seems like I was wrong about my assumptions. The heater was not working better because of the modifications that I did to it. It seems as though it was actually working better by some freak accident where the end of the burn chamber fell off. So instead of fighting it, I'm actually going to take the heater apart. I've got it shut down. I'm going to take it apart right now, and I'm going to put it back together without the end piece of the burn chamber on and see what happens. I don't expect for it to go well, but it can't go any worse than it normally does. Well, I suppose it could. Anyway, I'm going to put it together that way, and we are both going to find out together what happens if you simply cut the end off of your burn chamber and run it that way. Just in case it wasn't clear what I was saying, I am going to put the burn chamber in like this without this piece. If ever there was a time to be curious about temperatures, that time is now. Let's hit the start button, power button, and get this thing fired up. Starts up immediately. Sounds funny. Yeah, it sounds weird. I'm gonna set a 5-minute timer. I wasn't paying attention and I didn't see what that started at, but we'll see what the temperature rises like. I have a feeling like the exhaust is going to get very, very hot. Well, it sure does make this temperature go up. As I say that, it stops going up. It's actually burning, that's a good sign. Oh my God, look at the exhaust. Look at the exhaust. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna say the exhaust is gonna get hot. This is pretty cool if I restrict the airflow and make it run rich. Look at the flames. The fuel isn't burning in the combustion chamber, so it's actually burning in the exhaust. Wow. Okay, so we're not putting out much heat. All of it's just going out the exhaust. Let's read the temperature on our ductwork here. It's going to be insane. 43, 55, and 77. That's not actually as bad as I thought it would be. But this is only 136, which is not great. And this is only 64, which is abysmal. For those of you who saw my YouTube short where the exhaust was glowing red and there were flames shooting out, now you know the rest of the story. Not really surprising that the heater was behaving in this way considering the modifications that were done. If you guys liked this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of this nonsense, be sure to subscribe. Like I said at the first of this video, the next video in this series is going to be me installing a catalytic converter off of a weed trimmer onto the heater. This is actually something that I've really been looking forward to, so I hope you guys are excited about it as well. If you guys are interested in picking up a heater that is similar to mine, there is an affiliate link in the description below. That helps me out as I get a small kickback. Also, there is a discount code VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. If you guys want to get involved in a community post and cast your vote, I put up a community post on the ultrasonic cleaner that I will be getting from VEVOR to see if you guys want, well, what size you want. So feel free to go check out that post and vote on it if you like. If not, very well. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.